Show me the machine.
What machine?
There, show me the device. Where is it?
I'm
Where
not
do you put
filming
it? Over there someplace, looking this way?
I'm not filming you.
Okay, where is it?
My
Where
pocket.
Okay, give me a hand then. Give me a hand.
Try to get up. I want to see you try to get
No,
up.
I can't. I have in a bad position and my arm hurts. Give me the hand.
A portrait of Mr. Shriver's ex-wife.
Thank you.
Artwork listed.
You fucker! All right. This is what I just finished cooking for him. It takes about 15 minutes, but look at that.
Show him. Wow.
Huh? Am I not a good grandmother or what?
Wow, I'm spoiled, man.
Calm down and eat.
For the record, guys, I usually cook my own fucking meals, but grandma's treating me today. What's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new workout vlog. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm gonna quickly address something and then I'm gonna get into workout B. So I'm gonna be hitting some bench press, possibly some trap bar deadlifts, and then some rows, couple isolation exercises. But before I get into that, I wanna explain to you guys why I haven't been consistent with these workout vlogs and a new journey that I'm kind of embarking on in my life and some new things I'm exploring, something that I've kind of been busy with, and the reasons why I really haven't been consistent with these. So the reasons why I haven't been consistent with these workout vlogs, don't get me wrong, I've been training, I've been making some fucking fantastic progress on my upper body, but I haven't been able to train squats and deadlifts. I haven't been able to train my lower body, and honestly, guys, I feel kind of, I don't want to say ashamed, but I feel incongruent not training squats and deadlifts and like not representing that on my channel, because I feel like that if someone were to be unaware of the current circumstances of what I'm going through right now, and I'm going to get into that in a second, then they would think I'm a little bit incongruent with the way that I'm training because I'm so fucking gung-ho on squats and deadlifts. Don't skip your legs. And quite frankly, recently I've had to be a leg skipper because I've been dealing with some severe knee pain. So if you guys are new to these workout vlogs, I deal with severe knee problems, man. And so I don't know if you guys remember, but in a recent workout vlog, I was talking to you guys about how I found this new method of relieving pain in my knees that seemed very promising at the time. They were voodoo floss bands, which are essentially these bands that you wrap around your knee. It's this physical approach to you know, getting blood flow into your knees, removing some of the fluid, some of the swelling, and it gave me some temporary relief. But then about a week or two after, guys, I had one of the worst fucking flare-ups I've ever had in my knees, and I had to revert back to some old medication that I used to take for my knee problems, because if you guys are unaware, I've been dealing with these knee issues for about 3 years now. And before you guys get on me in the comments about, Rio, like, go see a physical therapist, go do this, go do that. That's why I want to talk about this, because I've explored all of those alternatives and they only ever make it worse. So this whole new journey I'm kind of embarking on in my life right now is that I'm going beyond the surface. I'm going beyond what the medical system is telling people about why their pain occurs, why these different things happen, why people have pains in their body. I'm really going beyond the surface, and I want to share with you guys kind of the new findings that I've had with regards to this, because I think if I can fix this for myself and document the journey and show you guys what's happening and the new things I'm learning, I think it could benefit a lot of people. Obviously, this is a bit different than what I usually talk about on this channel, but I feel like a lot of people deal with knee problems, and I definitely saw that. Not even just knee problems, body pain in general. A lot of people struggle with bodily pains that they don't really know where they come from. So here's the thing, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys who have basically shared with me the things that have helped you fix your knees. Like, it means the world to me that you guys give a shit and that you want to see me doing well and you want to see me, you know, pain-free. But I've explored all the things that you guys, you know, recommend to me, all of the physical approaches, and I've started to realize and become aware of the fact that I truly believe my pain has a lot more to do with the psychological side of things. So recently I've been going very deep into the teachings of a man named John Sarno. So I don't know if you guys are aware, his stuff is very underground because, again, it goes against conventional wisdom. It goes against what the medical system, the pharmaceutical industry wants you to believe. But John Sarno basically popularized TMS. And also known as mind-body syndrome. And so I have my laptop here because I do not want to be talking out of my ass on something that I am very new to, but I've recently signed up for this course. I've been working with this lady who is a mind-body practitioner, and I'm going through her program right now, and I'm realizing that everything she's saying about like, you know, people with TMS, people who have chronic pain, really resonates with me and the issues that I'm dealing with right now, guys. Because here's the thing, how can you explain that in just this past summer I was fucking squatting 340 I was squatting 340 for reps. And just before I went to Europe, and that was in Portugal when I was doing that, in Holland, Spain, before that, I was dealing with severe knee pain. So the knee pain that I deal with, guys, is chronic. It's chronic pain. And I think the biggest problem when it comes to pain in the pharmaceutical industry, the medical system, is that people do not distinguish chronic pain from physical abnormalities and injuries. And so what I've come to recently realize is that me thinking that this is physical is actually making the pain worse. So I'm reinforcing this sort of identity that I've created around the fact that I think that it's a physical problem, when in reality I'm absolutely now convinced that it has everything to do with emotions and my psychological state, my emotional state. And so I know this sounds very woo-woo, guys, and trust me, this sounded very fucking woo-woo to me, but trust me, it took me to try everything in my power to try and fix my pain for me to finally land on something like this. And I feel like that's almost kind of similar to kind of what I teach on this YouTube channel with Polarity Fitness. A lot of people have to train 6-7 days a week in order to then gain the wisdom of the fact that, you know, less is more. You need to train less. You need to focus on recovery, getting stronger. And I've been interviewing a lot of my Herculean bulking program members, and it's been so fucking interesting to see like all the reasons that you guys were initially attracted to me. And I've found that the people who are the most bought into the Polarity Fitness approach and who are really going fucking balls to the wall and applying and achieving success with it are the ones who have tried other alternatives and then end up landing on what I teach, and that it makes so much sense to them. But you know, for an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy, it mostly doesn't make sense because they haven't ate shit yet. They haven't ate shit with conventional wisdom, conventional approaches, in order to then know that there is an alternative way, there's a better way. The whole concept behind TMS, mind-body syndrome, is that our bodies create pain to distract us from facing emotions that we don't want to deal with in our lives. And so when I heard that, I knew that automatically it was something that definitely resonated with me. So like, you know, a lot of people, we have physical pain that resulted due to an emotional state. So chronic pain, guys, if you've had fucking pain for months or years and you have no idea why that pain came to fruition, there's no like distinguishing factor that told you like this pain should be there. Like, I've never injured myself, guys. I've never injured my knees. I've never had anything that subtly happened that fucked my knees up. This has just been like a chronic issue that I've been dealing with. And so that right there can tell you that it's fucking TMS, guys, that it's mind-body syndrome, that there's something that you aren't facing in your life, some sort of emotional state, some sort of emotion, some sort of trauma that you're not facing that is resulting in a physical symptom, in a physical pain. And it has nothing to do with physical abnormalities, injuries, all this different bullshit, guys. It has nothing to do with that. And the reality is that these symptoms, like, this sounds very woo-woo, I know, the symptoms are not in your head. They are very much real, but they result from a shortcoming in your emotional state. That's the important thing to keep in mind. Like, everyone goes through shit, let's be honest. Everybody goes through shit. Everybody experiences trauma. A lot of times, though, the thing is that a lot of this stuff, guys, actually exists in our subconscious mind. That's the kicker, man. This shit can exist in our subconscious minds, and we live with this tension, this fucking pain that, you know, we don't know where it comes from, but it could be something that happened in your childhood. It could be some sort of trauma that you've gone through in your life that has resulted in the pain that you're feeling. It's absolutely insane to think about, but it's very, when you really think about it, when you approach this with an open mind, it makes a lot of sense. So I want to read you guys a little piece of this program that I want to share with you. She says, you know, now let's focus on the scenario of someone experiencing an increased heart rate after receiving a piece of bad news. Do you really think that the increase in heart rate is simply being imagined? The answer is no, of course not. The increase in heart rate and even stress-induced palpitations are very real. They can actually be measured using a heart rate monitor, right? So they are very much real. They're physical. They're there. And yet you know that the cause of this physical change lies in that devastating piece of news you just received. In this case, you have a physical problem that resulted due to an emotional state. So the opposite is also true. You may get some exceptionally good news and your heart rate will shoot up again, but this time the feelings of euphoria will generate more positive symptoms. You can feel those butterflies in your stomach and you have so much energy that you could dance all night long. Now here's the interesting piece of news, which very few people accept, but will make all the difference in healing from chronic pain. It could be the same with muscle, joint, tendon, or nerve pain. It could be that your pain is constantly being generated due to your emotional state. I'd like you to stop right now for a moment and notice your entire body. Are there any areas that feel tense? Are your shoulders hunched up? Or perhaps you have been restlessly moving your legs. The thing is, when we are under significant pressure or when we feel in some way threatened, we may tense our muscles to such an extent that creates intense pain. We may also cause other changes in our body which lead to all kinds of symptoms. In fact, there are different physical processes which take place when we are in an emotional state, right? And increased cortisol levels, the stress hormone. This makes it more likely for our bodies to produce an inflammatory response, and it weakens the immune system, right? So a lot of times, guys, it's like fucking stress that we deal with. It's stress, it's pressure, it's these things that we deal with that we don't actually want to face. So then, the subconscious mind basically distracts us, because guess what, guys? Generating some physical pain is a very easy way for the subconscious mind to distract you from facing the actual emotional problems that you might be dealing with. If pressure or stress are present for a long time, or if unconsciously we are holding on to past trauma, our bodies may never be able to fully relax. For this reason, we may continue to feel all sorts of physical symptoms. And so this is the last piece of information I want to share with you guys right here. Mind-body pain can be at its worst when the individual is unaware of what emotions are causing it. This is what Dr. John Sarno, the doctor who discovered TMS, mind-body syndrome, referred to as repressed emotions. According to Dr. Sarno, pain can flare up to distract us from emotions that we'd rather not deal with. This is because these emotions may be telling us something about ourselves or our situation that we'd rather not consciously deal with. So for example, they might be telling us that our marriage is not working. They may be telling us that we should be feeling angry towards our parents for something they said or did, but we know that the good thing to do is to forget about past hurts and be grateful. They might be telling us that we are not at all happy with how our life or our business is going. But if we admit to that, we'd have to make some very tough and uncomfortable decisions. This pain that we feel oftentimes, if it comes from a chronic background, oftentimes exists to distract us from facing these emotions, these repressed emotions, these things this trauma that we all have. And John Sarno, he has a little quote that he says, "There's nothing like a little physical pain to keep your mind off your emotional problems." And the problem is, the symptoms are so obviously physical that the individual cannot even fathom that the triggers may have been emotional. In fact, he or she may find this suggestion insulting. The thing is, when pain becomes the new problem, the individual may indeed forget about all the other stressors that had been bothering him or her. Now, pain is definitely the most serious problem. So guys, I hope this was at least a little bit valuable for you. I at least want to make you guys aware of this, because I feel like it's my duty to do so. I feel like I could not hold something like this back, because I feel like this is really going to be the path to help me cure my pain. I believe in that, and you guys will see the process of how I do that. But I just wanted to share this with you guys, because I've been feeling a little bit, incongruent about the fact that I'm not training squats and deadlifts. I know it sounds fucking stupid in the grand scheme of things, like who gives a shit. I have obviously a good reason to not be, but I want to embody the Polarity fitness approach, since I'm the one teaching it, and I want to be the guy that leads by example. And I feel like I would lack integrity if I didn't do that. So I wanted to explain to you guys kind of the situation about why I haven't been fucking doing my workout vlogs and documenting and hiding a little bit. It's because I feel a little bit ashamed about the fact that I'm not following through on the things that I claim to be, the best way to do things, which I obviously believe. I'm just caught in a fucking situation right now where I cannot fully follow suit on that. So I hope you guys can understand. But without further ado, man, let's get straight into the workout vlog. I'm going to try and do some trap bar deadlifts. I've been doing that for the past few workouts, and I don't seem to feel that much pain from it. It seems to be the only lower body exercise I can do right now. Squats out of the cards as of right now. Romanian deadlifts even did not feel good for me. But yeah, man. All right, boys, we got 205 on the bar here. I've been working with 205 for the past few weeks. So I'm going to shoot for 8 reps on this set. In the last workout, I got 7 and 7. I'm doing 2 sets of 6 to 8 with 205. So I got 7 on the first set, 7 on the second set. That was a good personal record. So I'm hoping I can make a little bit of progress here, but let's see how it goes, man. I've been making pretty good progress on my upper body training here for the past while. So let's see what we got in the tank here today. Yes, let's fucking go, boys. That's a fucking big personal record right there. Holy shit. That was moving very smooth. The fastest route to your dream physique, guys, at the end of the day, is to literally avoid any setbacks or injuries. That's the number one. It's the number one thing that if you can just fucking train consistently without any injuries, setbacks, regressions, plateaus, you will get to your dream physique in a fucking heartbeat. It takes time, obviously, but you'll get there so much quicker, guys, as opposed to taking the route where you force progress, you rush progress, you grind reps, you fail sets, you do shit that your body can't really handle, and then you end up hitting this bump. Like, sure, you made progress for that little short period of time, but then you also had this little period here where you fucking plateaued or regressed, and then you have to come back to the next phase. We're gonna have to rebuild, and then it's this constant process of like redoing this. Whereas if you could just have a slower run like this, slow progress, slow and steady, sure, it seems slow in the short term, but over the long term, it adds up to crazy gains, guys. So always approach your training with a patient mentality. Embrace slow progress. Slow progress is the best kind of progress because you're not going to injure yourself. You're not going to hit plateaus. You're not going to regress. Things are going to move a lot more smoother, and over the long term, you'll make much better gains. I'm going to hit this second set. Hopefully I can either maintain my strength, get 7 reps here, or if it's a really very solid day, maybe I can get an 8th. It's a little bit hopeful, but we'll see how it goes. All right, man, good progress. I'm happy with that. We got a one rep extra on the first set, and we got 7 reps on the second set, same as last week, but we made progress. That's fucking awesome. So I'm gonna rest a bit and then get into some trap bar deadlifts. So I'm getting into a couple sets of trap bar deadlifts here. My first set was 6 to 8 reps with 337, and then I ended up taking some weight off and going for a little bit of a lighter set. So basically just follow my top set, back down set approach. So I've been doing some trap bar deadlifts for the past couple workouts, and I've been liking them. I do enjoy trap bar deadlifts. I'm doing them on a little bit of a deficit. As you guys can see, I'm standing on a few mats just because I'm not able to do any sort of squatting or anything that really puts my knees into like a deep flexion position and works my quads. So just to like kind of get the most out of this exercise and kind of treat it almost as if it's like a squat and a deadlift, since it's the only exercise I'm doing right now, I'm standing on a little bit of a deficit. I find this exercise is insane, man. Like, I don't know, I haven't seen anyone do it before, but one of my subscribers not that long ago gave me this idea to kind of do it on a deficit, and it's like almost like a squat and a deadlift at the same time. But holy shit, is it brutal, man. It is so difficult. Doing 337 here, and then I'm pretty sure I went down to like, I think it was 312, and then I went for 10 reps. So I think the trap bar deadlifts is a fantastic exercise for people who can't squat. So yeah, it's a great alternative for both, deadlifts and squats, but especially squats, in my opinion. I think for people who can't squat properly, who don't have like the build for it, they have structural limitations or injuries that they need to work around, I think the trap bar deadlift kind of gives you it's very similar to the squat in a weird way, even though it's technically a deadlift. It's like a very squatty kind of deadlift. Generally speaking, I'm a huge fan of barbell back squats, and I think like anyone that can do them properly should do them, because there's really no exercise that's going to give you a better bang for your buck in the gym. But if you just find yourself with more of like a deadlifter's kind of body, and you just really don't seem to get that much out of barbell back squats, I'd recommend giving trap bar deadlifts a try. They really seem to work really well for people who have that sort of tall and lanky build and who are more suited to deadlifting. So I just made some pretty good progress on those trap bar deadlifts. Guys, I'm quite literally 4 sets deep into this bitch. I'm fucking fried. I'm tired, bro. Holy shit. And see, guys, this is why you don't train very much, because when you bring this level of intensity that is in fact required to stimulate muscle and strength gains, you can't be in the gym very much. So there's a trade-off when it comes to volume and intensity. Volume means how many sets you're doing, how many reps you're doing, how many exercises you're doing. It's the total amount of work you're doing, whereas intensity is how hard you're pushing your sets, how close are you taking it to the point where you hit momentary failure when you can't move the bar for another rep. Just so you guys know, a lot of people throw around volume and intensity as these arbitrary terms. In simple terms, that's what that means. when you're bringing a lot of intensity, when you're pushing your sets really hard, you cannot do as much volume because there's a trade-off with volume and intensity. If you're gonna up the intensity, you have to reduce the volume. You cannot train with both a high volume and a high intensity. There's a trade-off. And if you're gonna train with a high volume and a low intensity, the reality is that you're just gonna end up going through the motions in your workouts, not being able to train hard enough to simulate muscle and strength gains, or you're simply just gonna overtrain yourself and end up not being able to string together progressive workouts because you're just so fatigued. You're either just gonna fatigue and overtrain yourself and prevent strength gains, or you're just gonna, or, you know, both of them, in fact, you're just gonna end up going through the motions, not being able to train hard enough to stimulate muscle growth. Because when you're doing a lot of work, you subconsciously know that you have to go through the motions in order to get through it all. So the best thing to do, drop the fucking volume, ditch the volume. Focus on bringing lots of intensity instead. Intensity is more important than volume for drug-free people, because when you focus on instead upping the intensity, training harder, then you can reduce the volume. And when you reduce the volume, you create a lot of space for recovery. And then what happens is that all of a sudden you're able to string together progressive workouts on a consistent basis, because due to all that excess recovery that you're having, you're gonna be able to step into the gym fresh. You're gonna be able to train hard enough to stimulate muscle growth, and you're gonna be able to string together progressive workouts. You're gonna be able to make strength gains. You're gonna be able to hit personal records. And that's what it comes down to, man. Focus on the fucking strength gains. Too many people are focused on anything and everything except progressive overload. But in reality, guys, anyone focused on this complicated bullshit is just trying to distract themselves from the work required to build a good drug-free body. That's it, man. That's it. And trust me, guys, I know as someone who makes content, who answers a lot of questions, gets a lot of comments and stuff, I know that almost everybody's just trying to avoid the work required. Because you know how I know? Is 11 sets better than 10? Are partials better than, bro, what the fuck are you talking about, man? What are you doing, bro? I'm calling you out on your bullshit. You're making it more complicated than it needs to be. Simple. Key to drug-free physique success. Short and infrequent workout routines dominated by the big basic exercises and progressive overload. Just canceled YouTube fitness right there, motherfuckers. Just canceled YouTube. That's it. That's it, man. I just broke the fitness industry. That's it. That's all it comes down to. Short and infrequent workout routines dominated by big basic compound exercises focused on progressive overload, getting stronger. That's it, man. It's about picking a handful of lifts, big movements, getting fucking strong at them over time, chipping away at them, mastering them, getting as good as you can at them. That's the cornerstone bottom line principle. And so here's the simplest way to fucking program your training for success. And this is what I've learned after so much time now, being obsessed with uncovering real drug-free training. 5 exercise workouts. So you're doing full body twice a week, either with the same set of exercises. If you're brand new, I'd recommend doing that just to get neuromuscularly efficient at the lifts that you're prioritizing, learn the movements. And then what I'd recommend once you're beyond that first 6 months and you know the technique of your basic movements is that I do full body twice a week, 2 different sets of exercises. You're gonna do 5 exercises in each workout, maybe 6 if you want to. Right now I'm doing 6 exercises in one workout, 5 in this workout. So 5 or 6 exercises, 2 sets each, 3 to 4 compound lifts, 2 isolation exercises. That's it. That's it. On one workout, pick a squat, an upper body push, and an upper body pull. On the other workout, pick a hip hinge, or in other words, a deadlift, an upper body push, an upper body pull, a couple isolation exercises. Fucking finished. Simple as pie. So much bullshit, guys, just to distract themselves from the simple realities of what it takes is just hard work and consistency. That's it, man. Hard work, consistency. Nothing complicated, nothing fucking complicated. But you have to be willing to take your sets to where I just took those 2 sets of trap bar deadlifts or the sets before that. The reality is that most people don't push that hard. They don't. They go through the motions. Hence, that's why they think they can be in the gym all the time. But as soon as they actually learn to train in a respectable manner and actually train hard, they'll soon realize that they cannot be in the gym very frequently. That's it, motherfuckers. That's it. That's all it is, man. All it comes down to. It's 8:30, guys. I'm fucking tired. So now I'm getting into some incline dumbbell rows. So this is one of my favorite rowing variations, especially just when I'm training at my home gym and I have more limited equipment, just some free weights, a bench. I tend to gravitate more towards back supported rows, especially nowadays. I was doing pendlay rows for a while and I love pendlay rows. I love bent over rows. But when you're deadlifting hard, especially in the same workout, it makes sense to kind of take the lower back out of the equation and just focus on doing some back supported rows. Rows are one of the movements where I'm very lenient in terms of the variations. I think most rows are good exercises. There's not really a row that's a bad exercise. I tend to like, as I said, the back supported ones more. I love hammer strength rows, man. Like the machine at the gym where like your chest is supported and you're just focusing on pulling. I love those. Any sort of rowing machine is great. Cable rows, the seal row machine where you're kind of on an incline and you're like fully supported. I think like most rows have their place in your training. You can kind of just pick and choose, honestly. But again, when you're doing them after deadlifts, I recommend doing back supported rows. So I'm a big proponent of sticking with the same exercises for a long period of time in order to master them and get really, really good at them. And so one of my sort of clients that I was talking to, he asked me a really good fucking question, man, that I think a lot of people need to hear. And he basically asked me like, hey, like, in a nutshell, he's like, how many exercises like do I need to have in like sort of rotation or at my disposal in order to, you know, maintain a sort of novel stimulus for a muscle group? And so it was a very good question, because a lot of people think that adding new exercises or changing exercises very frequently is the way to sort of like shock the muscle into growing or like create some sort of novel stimulus. But the reality, guys, is that muscle only knows tension. So in other words, the only way to actually shock the muscle per se, which is kind of like a bullshit myth, I forget who started that, but the only way to make the muscle grow is to subject it to more and more tension over time. And the best way to do that is to stick with the same exercise for a long period of time, because guess what, guys, if you're constantly switching the exercise around, you're not actually getting a good stimulus from it because you're in a state of learning the exercise. So it actually takes about 3 or 4 weeks to get to the point where you're actually recruiting the muscle fibers that you can recruit with that exercise. So there's like, for that first 3 or 4 weeks, you're just working your way up to the point where you're becoming like neuromuscularly efficient, and you're teaching your central nervous system how to activate your muscles to produce force on that movement. And so when you stick with the same exercises for a long time, like, you get so good at it, and then every set is like the most efficient set possible because you're so good at it, because you've been doing it, you've been repeating yourself on it so over and over and over for weeks and months. That's the fucking key, man. But here's the big caveat. Isolation exercises, you want to swap them every 2 to 3 months, because generally speaking, the bigger the movement, the less need you have to sort of rotate it. I'm not completely against exercise rotation. I believe in sticking with the same exercises for long enough to really milk it dry. But if you feel like you've really milked an exercise dry for a given cycle and it just won't budge in strength, then you feel free to rotate it to a closer variation. I just think that the first step always when you hit a plateau should be to do a weight reset, take some weight off, rebuild back up to the point where you get right back to where you were before, take a few weeks to build yourself back up, and then push, try to get beyond that plateau you hit before, which is what usually happens. But if that doesn't work, then I would recommend swapping it for a close variation. But also keep in mind that not all your exercises have to be progressing for a training cycle to be deemed successful. So for example, if I'm making really good progress on my squat and my bench press and my chin up, but my deadlift and overhead press are lagging, it's still a successful cycle. Like, not all of them will always progress at the same rate. One training cycle, you know, your squat, bench, chin up may go really quickly in progress. Your deadlift and overhead press may take a back seat, and then in another cycle, it may be the other way around. So not all the exercises have to be progressing at the same pace. As long as a few of your core movements are progressing in a given training cycle, then the training cycle is successful, you're making gains, because especially if you're prioritizing big basic movements, your body's gonna be growing as a whole anyway, so it doesn't really matter if those exercises lag behind a little bit. So keep that in mind. But if you wanna really make the best progress, you have to pick your core group of exercises, your handful of basic compound movements, 4 to 6 foundational exercises, and just really, really get good at them over time. Stick with them. Don't get discouraged if you don't make progress on it all the time in a very consistent manner, but just fucking stick with it, man. That's the point. Just grind away at it, chip away at it, make progress over time. That's when the real muscle gains come. My best gains ever in muscle and strength, but especially in muscle mass, came when I was sticking with the same exercises for a long time. Like, I think maybe it was last winter, I stuck with the same exercises like all year for like 2022. It was like pretty much the entire year I stuck with the same exercises, didn't change a fucking thing. And yeah, I had rough patches where I wasn't making as fast progress, but I stuck with the exercises and I made a lot of gains in muscle. So that's generally what I like to do. But without further ado, I'm gonna get into some barbell curls. So I've been doing incline dumbbell curls for the past while, and I'm starting to get a little bit of like a issue with them, like a little bit of a maybe overuse. And that was one thing I wanted to cover as well. The smaller the exercise, If it's a single joint movement, it's going to cause overuse injuries quicker. The bigger the exercise, the less you need to rotate it, because it's a multi-joint movement. It covers a lot of muscle mass in the body. When you're really trying to isolate, because isolation movements aren't natural movements, so you're naturally going to have to rotate them more frequently to avoid overuse injuries. Like I'm maybe starting to get a little bit of tendonitis from those inclined dumbbell curls, so I'm going to switch over to some barbell curls, which are two of the best bicep curls. Still, people get pissed off when I tell them that weighted chin-ups are the best bicep exercise, which is the fucking truth. Weighted chin-ups, if you can build yourself up to 100-pound weighted chin-ups, which I'm almost at right now, at a body weight of almost 190 pounds, which is fucked. To my own horn, but that's probably my strongest lift. But yeah, I completely forgot where I was stroking myself too hard here, guys. I completely forgot where the fuck I was going with that. Let's get into these. I have no idea what weight I should be using on these, but I'm just gonna test the waters here. 25 pounds on each side, so 95 pounds. I already know I'm gonna get a ton of flack from my form on barbell curls. I've never been a fan of keeping them extremely strict. I find I can never get strong on barbell curls if I go super strict on them, because if you're doing any considerable weight on barbell curls, staying up straight without using any body English, you're literally gonna fall forward. So a little bit of body English is good. Don't like jerk it like that, but like you can use it just a little bit, like, just like that, like, you know. I think that works just fine. Because at the end of the day, guys, why the fuck would you be a form Nazi on isolation exercises? As long as you feel the muscle, you're getting a good pump in the muscle, it doesn't fucking matter. People overthink isolation exercises way too much. As long as you feel a nice, these are just isolation exercises, just the icing on top of the cake to get a little bit of a pump in those muscle groups that you want to work a little bit harder. All it is, man. Do one more set of this. I may superset some lateral raises right now, actually. That's what I like to do with my isolation exercises, as long as they work very different muscle groups. So I'm gonna do some lateral raises right now. These are 35s, by the way, FYI. Completely lost count there. I don't take these too seriously. I just go for kind of burnout on lateral raises a lot of the time, which ends up being, you know, anywhere from like 20 to 25 reps. I've never had success going lower than that on lateral raises reps wise. I never feel my shoulders.
I believe isolation exercises should be chosen based on your individual weak points and what you feel is lagging behind, because honestly, guys, the only point of isolation exercises is to plug the gaps left by the core compound movements. So there's no point in throwing in isolation work for a muscle group that's not lagging behind. So you just want to throw in a little bit of extra work for muscle groups that you feel are lagging behind, that are the gaps that are left by your core compound movements. So you don't want to throw in isolation exercises for a muscle group that's not actually lagging behind. Completely defeats the purpose. So feel free to kind of choose your own isolation exercises within reason, but understand that you only need about 2 isolation exercises in each of these workouts. When I give guys freedom, they end up completely bastardizing the fucking routines, man. Like when I see this with guys in my Herculean bulking program, they're like, Rio, my progress is slowing down a bit. I'm like, okay, what's up with your routine? Show me your routine. They end up with a completely different routine than what I fucking prescribed, man. They end up diluting the routines, adding sets, adding exercises, and diluting seeing the routines, and they don't understand that the magic lies in their abbreviated structure, in the fewer sets, the fewer exercises, and the focusing on getting strong. They don't understand that. They're still caught up in the more is better mentality, which is what kills their progress. So less is more, especially when it comes to isolation exercises.
I'm getting pretty fucking thick and dense on this bulk because the upper body training has been going well. I'm getting very strong at my bench. Look at it, I'm looking pretty fucking thick, guys. Come on now. The power of bulking, females and gentlemen. 2 workouts per week. So you guys, you got to put on a bit of weight. Like my abs, the definition is like, it's blurry, have some fat, but this is the key. That's the key to unlocking strength gains that you otherwise couldn't. And guess what, guys? This shit take me less than 2 months to trim off. But this muscle, this shit takes time to build. Bit of ab definition still. But I've been, not gonna lie guys, I've been overdoing the calories recently. But I'm getting pretty fucking thick, man. I'm making pretty good progress. So this is the physique right now. Looking a little bit fluffy, obviously. We're on the bulk, baby. We're getting fucking thick and dense. Look at that. Here's the thing, guys, about YouTube fitness, okay? Right now, I've looked better on camera, right? But in person, I've never looked better. That's the backwards way it works on the internet. The people who you think look the best on YouTube or social media, actually, you wouldn't be able to tell that they lift in person. If they're natural, that is. People who are drug-free and who are ripped to the bone, you'll see them swimming in their shirts in public. This is how it works as a drug-free person, and I made a video on this before, and this is something that took me a while to accept, is that if you're gonna be ripped, you're never gonna look like you lift in person. But if you're gonna put on a little bit of size, look a little bit thicker, people are gonna notice that you work out. You're walking down the street, people can see that thickness. They know you lift. That is the fucking key thing about YouTube fitness, guys, that you can't fall victim to. And this is what gave me body dysmorphia when I was a bit younger, when I was a little bit more gullible and new to fitness. That's the shit that I didn't know. Like, that's the shit that I did not know. And so I would, think that I would listen to people saying, you got to get lean. That's when you're going to look the best. Yeah, you'll look the best on camera. Nobody will ever know that you lift in person. Like I right now, I've looked better. I look more ripped and peeled on camera. But right now, if people see me, like people I know, they'll see me, they'll be like, holy fuck, you're looking fucking huge. Like you're looking good. The reality, guys, is that, most of us, if you live in North America, I live in Canada, guys. Ottawa, 6 months of the year, it's like 0 to -30, and I'm never taking my shirt off. Why wouldn't I want to put on a little bit of size and get bigger? It just makes the most sense. Like that's how you should approach it. I like to stay leaner in the summers, just because my shirt's coming off more. In the winter time, the fall, the spring, I'm bulking, man. From fucking September, sometimes even earlier, sometimes like August all the way until like even June. Sometimes, man, I go for a long bulk sometimes, and I recommend you do the same if you haven't put on a base of muscle yet. But look, guys, the gains are there, So got a bit of ab definition. But again, this fat right here, like you guys will say, oh, Rio doesn't even look that good. Well, let's be honest, guys. This shit, I can cut that off in less than 2 months. Less than 2 months. But what this fucking shit right here does for me to be able to put on some extra fucking strength and muscle is unparalleled. It's like, you need it. If you were drug-free, you need to put on a bit of body fat. I'll fucking drill this home to the day I die. It's one of the biggest things I've learned in my fitness journey. If you're natural, this shit right here, this little bit of body fat, this layer, is gonna help you. It's not gonna hinder you, it's gonna help you. It's gonna just help you put on more muscle and strength. Because without body fat, without overfeeding, putting a little bit of weight and muscle and fat, you're not in the anabolic environment required to put on muscle and strength. So that's it, man. That's it, motherfuckers. So all the motherfuckers who hate on the Polarity fitness approach and say you can't build your physique training twice a week. Just a heads up. Grandma prepared a fucking banging meal for me. My hands are shaking, fuck. Some rice and beans. It's pretty much what I make, but she just made it for me because she's a beauty. Yeah, man. Peace out.